All right, so let's get right down to it. Next up is Death Before Dishonor 5. This is an amazing show. Holy shit, this is one of the greatest shows in ROH history. One of the best shows in 2007. Everyone needs to check this out. I mean, you had a pretty solid show from top to bottom. The undercard actually wasn't amazing. It was still great. I mean, it's still pretty good, but just not amazing. You had Davey Richards, Jack Evans. You had Chris Hero and Nigel McGuinness in the pure wrestling match. It wasn't an amazing match, but it was kind of entertaining. Um, it just has some nice solid matches, but the show really picks up into full gear when Bryan Danielson and Matt Sydal have their match. This is the first time Danielson and Sydal had a match in Ring of Honor. It was pretty good. You know, there was a pretty good pre-match segment with Larry Sweeney and Danielson arguing over about the money from the Race to the Top tournament, and they had a good match. But you know, for Bryan Danielson standards in Ring of Honor, this wasn't one of his better matches, but it was still solid though. Then you know you had Morishima versus Claudio Castagnoli. This is a match to see. I mean, wow. I mean, if you're a Claudio Castagnoli fan, you need to check this match out. He took Morishima to the limit. This had one of the sickest near falls I've ever seen. Claudio actually just tossed Morishima around like he was a piece of shit. I mean, wow. I mean, I've never seen anything like this, and I am dying to see Brock Lesnar and Morishima. That would just be an amazing match because, while Claudio Morishima was pretty much the closest thing that we'll get to that. But yeah, Claudio actually did a Ricola bomb to Morishima, got him up in the air, and you know, dropped him down, and the whole crowd chanted to 3, and then Morishima kicked out, and the crowd was chanting bullshit. Referee counted to 2. Crowd was chanting bullshit at the top of their lungs. They were really, really pissed off. I mean, one of the sickest near falls you would ever see, but just an extremely hot match, extremely hot crowd. You know, just great stuff, great action. I can't emphasize how great this match was. Uh, Definitely, just great stuff. Claudio was so likable at the time. He pretty much had everyone on his side. And then we had the Briscoes versus Kevin Steen and El Generico. Awesome match. The Boston Street Fight, one of the sickest street fights you'd ever see. If you love old ECW style, you know, brawls, you would love this. This had great intensity. You know, this might have been better than the Ladder War. If you thought it was better than the Ladder War, I wouldn't disagree with you. This had just so many holy shit spots and just so many great moments in this match. I mean, wow. This match is just insane. So many great chair shots, so many great high spots. I mean, wow, everyone needs to check it out. It's the Boston Street Fight from Death Before Dishonor. Death Before Dishonor 5 Part 1. An amazing show. And next up we have Night 2 from Philadelphia, which was still great. Not as good as the first night, though. But we have Mark Briscoe versus El Generico Falls Count Anywhere match. These two guys just picked up right where they left off from that street fight. So many insane stuff in this match. It was kind of short, but they packed in a lot of great action into it. What else do we have here? We have Mike Quackenbush and Bryan Danielson. This is probably their best match, better than their Ted Petty match, in my opinion. Better than a lot of their matches that I've seen. So, you know, two of the best wrestlers in the world going at it. You know, what more could you ask for? And then, yeah, Kevin Steen versus Jay Briscoe. They had a lights out match, which is pretty solid. It's like a last man standing match or a death match. Then you have Morishima versus Brent Albright. You know, probably Brent Albright's second best match in Ring of Honor. I mean, once again, Morishima just made him look great. Some tremendous near falls. Morishima made Albright look like a star here. I mean, it was short, but it was sweet. Just a lot of great action. And then you had the No Remorse Core teaming up with Matt Sydal to take on Austin Aries stable of the Resilience and Delirious. This is a Philadelphia street fight. Everyone was wrestling in street clothes and suits, khaki pants, and you know, collared shirts. It was kind of weird, but yeah, a lot of great spots in this match. Matt Cross did some insane dives from the bleachers. Davey Richards did some pretty cool things out there. Erick Stevens got a standing ovation. There was some crazy table spots. They used a ladder. You know, not as good as the Boston Street Fight at all. I'm probably not that high on it. It's slightly a little bit of a train wreck, in my opinion. Whenever you have this much talent out there just brawling all over the arena, it's kind of easy to get bored by it. But I thought they did a pretty good job in this match. Still give it a solid 4 stars. All right, next up we have Caged Rage, which is a pretty underrated show. It's a good show for a Hartford show, Hartford, Connecticut. You know, you had the Resilience teaming up to take on Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards and Jason Blade. This is the first time Davey and Eddie Edwards teamed up. This was a solid match. Then you have Pac versus Bryan Danielson. Pretty good stuff. A little match to get Danielson warmed up for Morishima. Pac really didn't have a great showing this weekend, but it was still solid. Then you have Morishima, Claudio, and Albright. They kind of threw him in a 3-way match. Kind of made sense. It was still fun, but just not on the level as the the previous Morishima title matches. And then you had Roderick Strong versus Jack Evans. This is kind of like the blow off to their whole feud. You know, Roderick and Jack had pretty much been feuding throughout the year. It was good. You know, Jack Evans hit some nice spots off the cage. It could have been a lot better. Don't expect an insanely awesome Jack Evans mark-out spot in the match, but it was still solid. Then we had the Briscoes versus Kevin Steen and El Generico in the cage. It kind of made sense to put these guys in the cage. Not one of their better matches from the feud, but it was still pretty good stuff. Kevin Steen looked like an animal after the match. The aftermath was pretty much, it pretty much progressed the feud. You know, it was a good match because it kind of, even though Steen and Generico lost the match, you know, it definitely still made them look strong. So, yeah, still 4 stars, still a great match. Pretty good show there. And then we have Mayhem 2. Mayhem 2 is excellent. Everyone needs to check it out if you haven't seen it yet. You had Matt Cross and Erick Stevens taking on Jigsaw and Mike Quackenbush. This is Mike Quackenbush's New York City debut in Ring of Honor. So, yeah, that was a sight to see. Then you had Jimmy Jacobs come back for some squash matches. Then you had Davey Richards versus Pac. Pac was very, very botchy this weekend. You know, I think this is a little bit edited. I couldn't really tell. But, yeah, the live reports were kind of down on Pac. But I still thought it was a pretty good match. Still was like a 3-star match. Then we had a pretty good storyline match. You had Roderick Strong, Austin Aries, and Jack Evans. These 3 guys were part of Generation Next. And all these guys went at it pretty hard. And there was a huge thing with Jack Evans. He brought out the Vulture Squad. You know, Ruckus came out. So Jack Evans formed his own stable. So now all 3 of them had their own stables, so that was pretty cool. Then you had Hero versus Claudio, a nice, fun sports entertainment, you know, just extremely fun match. You know, Claudio and Hero were feuding at the time with Claudio was, in the midst of a war with Larry Sweeney. So I think this is the best Chris Hero Claudio match that I've seen. I haven't seen one that was better than this. So I'm going to give it 3 3/4 stars. Then we have Morishima versus Danielson, 5-star match. Everyone knows how high I am in this match. I mean, I wasn't there live, but I would say if you were there live, you were probably a lot more higher on it. Some people think it's kind of overrated, which I could see why. You know, this didn't have a lot of action, but in my opinion, I thought the crowd and the intensity definitely made up for the lack of spots. So yeah, but still great stuff. Great sight. I mean, the crowd was just with him every single step of the way. If Danielson was going for an armbar or, just doing that little submission to Morishima, they were into it. If Danielson was going for a high spot, they were just as into it. So I just thought it did his job. Then we had the Briscoes versus Kevin Steen and El Generico, 2 out of 3 falls. Awesome match. A lot of great spots. Just tremendous action here. I mean, for 2 straight falls, you got to give this crowd credit. They were with him every step of the way. The 2 out of 3 falls thing, I think Ring of Honor dropped the ball with it. I thought the wrong team ended the Briscoe streak for winning 2 falls in a row, but for a 2 out of 3 falls match, and Kevin Steen and El Generico didn't even win a fall in this match, and the crowd was still insanely into it. And I just thought, that's what made the match so unique. 4 1/4 stars, a great main event, and this is one of the better matches the Briscoes and Kevin Steen and El Generico had, in my opinion. Then we have Motor City Madness. Motor City Madness is a weak show, actually. Still pretty solid. I mean, there's still some good stuff on it. It's not a bad show. If you're an Erick Stevens fan, you probably like the show. I'm sure there's not many Erick Stevens fans out there, but he did win a 4-corner survival match, which was pretty awesome, and advanced to the finals to meet Morishima for the title. Pretty good match. Erick Stevens got a standing ovation after the match, but the crowd booed the shit out of him after he won that 4-corner survival match. They didn't want to see him in the main event, but by the end of the show, he had everyone's respect. So give Erick Stevens a lot of credit. Match of the night was Marufuji and El Generico. A lot of people say this was a comedy match, but I really didn't see it. But it was still good, though. Still match of the night. I just think these guys could have done better, actually. But, still an extremely fun match. What else do we have here? We had the Briscoes taking on Austin Aries and Matt Cross in the main event. Yeah, kind of disappointing, Felt like a house show main event. Aries didn't do much. Matt Cross's wrestling ability was kind of exposed here. I feel like if he's not in 6-man scramble matches or 3-on-3 tag matches, his wrestling ability kind of gets exposed. I just don't think it's that good, in my opinion. Kind of a spot monkey. But yeah, this is kind of, the Briscoes were kind of conserving their energy for Man Up, so don't expect a great main event. So that's Motor City Madness. Next up, we move on to Man Up. Man Up is a great pay-per-view. It was, everyone was jumping up and down after this pay-per-view took place in 2007. It features the ladder war. The ladder war between Kevin Steen and El Generico is one of the greatest matches in Ring of Honor history, one of the best ladder matches of all time. and so many sick spots in this match. They actually did the Doomsday Device through a ladder in this match, so that was pretty sick spot, and some pretty suicidal offense. They did Kevin Steen actually did a cradle power driver through the ladder. Jay Briscoe did a Jay Driller, and the ladder broke. I mean, it was an insane match. And then you had the whole Age of the Fall aftermath, with hanging Jay Briscoe from the rafters. That was pretty sick. This whole card was stacked from top to bottom. One of the easiest shows to sit through. I mean, no filler at all. The Four Corner Survival match when Nigel won it against Marufuji, Claudio, and Hero. Extremely fun match. One of the best openers in ROH history, in my opinion. Then we had the No Remorse Corvus versus the Resilience and some singles matches, which I really, really like. Some people don't like it. This is kind of the make or break for the pay-per-view. If you did like this, then Man Up is probably one of your favorite shows of all time. If you didn't care for these matches, then Man Up is probably not one of your top 10 shows of all time from Ring of Honor. But you had Aries versus Richards. They went at it. They packed in a lot of great stuff for their match. I liked it. Then you had Roderick Strong and Erick Stevens. This is one of their this is their first match in Ring of Honor. Insanely stiff. And then you had the Morishima Danielson rematch. Danielson was actually I didn't talk about it, but he suffered a detached retina in his eye from the Mayhem match. So he's actually wearing an eye patch in this match. And he actually cut a great promo before the match, which was awesome. But yeah, this is great because Morishima vowed not to go after the eye, but he did go after the eye in the match. It just made for a great match, great intensity, just another great match between these two guys, and insanely heated finish too. So that's Man Up. Man Up is a great show. You have some special features on here as well. Matt Sydal's last Ring of Honor match. So definitely check out Man Up. And then we have Honor Nation. They called the show Honor Nation because the Red Sox were in a playoff game that night, and this is kind of like their way of thanking the Ring of Honor fans for coming out to the show. So they pay tribute to them by calling this Honor Nation. So I don't know, kind of a corny name for this show. But yeah, you had El Generico, Nigel, and Hollow Wicked. El Generico looked sweet in this match. Stuff between him and Nigel was great. You had Aries versus Danielson. Austin Aries versus Bryan Danielson, the best of 3 series. This match is awesome. One of the best Bryan Danielson, Austin Aries matches. This might have been the best match from their best of 3 series from 2007. This is the first match, and wow, I mean, great stuff. Aries actually made Danielson tap out to the last chancery. Crowd went crazy for the finish. Just great technical wrestling here. You could feel it for this match. These two guys are just on, and it didn't really have to deliver because it was right before pay-per-view. But it did deliver. And then we had a great tag team scramble match. No Remorse Corps versus the Vulture Squad. Great spot fest, great action. I loved it. So then we have Morishima versus Kevin Steen. Steen and Morishima had great chemistry. Steen, this is his title shot. I thought it looked solid. It wasn't amazing, but it was pretty cool to see Steen out there. The fans got behind Steen. So yeah, so that was Honor Nation, a pretty solid show. I enjoyed it. And then we had Undeniable. Undeniable was a pay-per-view. One of the weakest pay-per-views that Ring of Honor has done, but I still thought it was great though. Then we had Nigel McGuinness. This is where Nigel finally won the Ring of Honor World title. He finally beat Morishima. This is probably the weakest match that Nigel and Morishima had. I felt like they kind of rushed into the finish. The last couple of minutes of the match were insane, though. But yeah, Nigel goes down. Nigel puts Morishima down, wins the ROH World title. Crowd goes crazy. A great moment, though. The moment puts the match over the top, so I still give it 4 stars. Then we had Austin Aries and Roderick Strong on this show. This is great. Match of the night. Probably the best match that Aries and Strong have had together. They did so many great things in this match. They actually did a brain buster, and the Aries put Roderick Strong to the table. The table broke. That was a great spot. I mean, like I said, a great match there. Match of the night, like I said. Then we had the Briscoes versus Davey Richards and Rocky Romero. This was actually taped in Dayton at the Reckless Abandon show, but they put it on the pay-per-view because Mark Briscoe was hurt. The actual date of the pay-per-view taping, but yeah. Great match there, just a vintage Briscoes match with Davies in the match with the Briscoes, so you pretty much get exactly what you expect. Then we had Bryan Danielson and Chris Hero. That was an undercard match, nice solid match, a lot of intensity. Probably give it 3 stars. This whole show was good to me. I still thought it was solid, so that's Undeniable.